this government is going to struggle. It's going to struggle. The way they are proceeding is going to, well, you see, then the fact is that their struggle is not going to be their struggle alone, it's going to be the struggle and pain of Ghanaians. If you are a government that is coming on the back of very, very enticing promises that you have made, and you are inching to the first half of the year, into the second quarter, then your main ideas, you go to their manifesto, they talk about the 24-hour economy as an anchor of their fiscal policy. And so you ask yourself, where is that anchor? Where we are seated today, we are struggling with electricity, thanks to our Minister for Energy and Green Transitions. Every minute he'll come and scare us about how much crude we have left and how many hours before our light goes off. And I'm wondering if your 24-hour economy will survive. This is economy daylight plus night. Where is the light? You don't have certainty about light. And what they seem to be doing is to blame the regime before it for all the challenges that they cannot resolve, and then thump their chest that, oh, just in 5 months, we have turned around the city. When you ask them about Galamsey, they say, oh, we just came 5 months ago, so these are big problems we can't solve. And then so you are left wondering, what kind of government is this? It's confused. When it's about problems they must solve, then they say, oh, we just came. When it's a glory that is cooked and is sitting out there, then they're thumping their chest, we did it. I said, that's to Professor Bokpin this way. And all the explanation is giving that they have done this, they have done that, and I'm wondering, where is it? They inherited an IMF program, which program prescribes fiscal consolidation. So all the things they are doing up and down, we are cutting expenditure and all of that. It's as if you can decide to eat more than your stomach can take. I mean, it's built in. So the program is ring-fenced. You have to operate with a certain band. So what is the extraordinary thing they have done? Right now, as you and I speak, contractors are not being paid. Okay, the balance of these people are foreigners who have sublet contract to some Ghanaians and all of those, the big ones, right? And so when you begin to pay these ones, you begin to see your smoothness level, right? As we speak, and then I think I just want to correct the seeming contradiction you were trying to allude to between the minority and what the vice president is saying, or what our communicators.
It was reported by the paper.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you're trying to, I'm not saying you're making it up. There isn't any daylight between what we're saying and the vice president and minority says. The external factor they refer to are just essentially the trade matters that are resulting in the weakening of the dollar. So that plays a significant role in the matter as we speak. So I want to hear, I want the professors they are deploying. You see, economics is basic. By the time you get to your masters and all of that, economy, you learn it, the aspect of it that affects our daily lives is actually learned with the first degree economics, even as SHS degree, basic demand and supply matters. Now, on the matter of them strengthening the city, okay, what have they done? The currency situation is about inflows and outflows. So when your inflows are more and your outflows are less, you have a balance, your currency is strong. When your outflows are more, means that your currency, you're chasing after others, and so therefore your situation falters. What have they done in the area of export that has been exceeding? What we have seen is gold. Which gold that was due to our gold for reserve program. So exactly where? Where is the thing they have done? And if you see the balance of gold reserve, what NDC has added since coming to office is not equal to 1 ton. So exactly where is the thing? Where is the thing? And as a matter of policy, I want to even understand what's the strategy. Because really, this whole celebration of exchange rate being the cedi strengthening is actually toward an import-dependent economy. You understand? When right now, one of the biggest problems between the US and China is largely because China manipulates its currency. That's the claim against China by the US, that China manipulates its currency to make it weak so that its exports to America are cheaper. So what is our strategy? If as a government, your idea is 24-hour economy, a weak currency is actually better for you so you can drive export. They recently formed the Accelerated Export Board or something, right, which is part of their 120 day social contract. What is that board supposed to do? If you have a strong cedi, your import will be expensive. So then what is the policy alignment there? What are they celebrating? If your goal is to drive export and your currency is strengthening, UK, the reason their currency has been strong forever is because they are import dependent. And that's a matter of policy. So it's cheaper for them to import than to export. So they import vastly everything they consume. Now, so you need jobs for your people. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, you promised you want to do 24-hour economy, which must be production-led if we think about it properly. These other skirmishes that, passport office is operating 3, 4, I don't get it. That's not what you promised. Because if all these young people must get job, it must be productive. The enterprise must add value. It must create value and wealth. So you cannot say that DVLA is doing this and so that's 24 hours. That's a non-starter. But we are looking for the 24-hour economy, which is production-led. Where is that one? And so when your currency becomes strong, you are weakening your position. You can't do that. So this whole thing we are celebrating and jumping up and down, what is the long-term picture? What are they trying to achieve? You understand? So apart from the fact that everything they are celebrating is on the basis of what was done ahead of time, and before you know it, I think 2023, if you remember that, when the budget was read, Kerofurata at the time indicated that we had turned the corner. And from then, the economy has been on a certain upward trajectory before they inherited it. And the close of year growth, about 5.7 GDP growth, and the expectation is that they build on it. And they have decided, I don't know if it's strategic or just whatever, decided to estimate below expectation or improving on what they have inherited. But I'm saying that you had an economy that was on a path growing. I remember when we took over from them in 2017, their retort is that, oh, the 8.1% you got in 2017 is ours, even after a whole fiscal year. And
it was 8.5.
It's 8.5.
8.5. Yes, in fact, the NDC had predicted 7.1.
Okay, but I think I remember 8.1, 8.2. So that's fine. But the point is that they argued that, oh, it is us. That what have you done? The records are there. So I'm just sitting here wondering if they have forgotten themselves so soon to claim that they have engineered some wonderful economic wizardry to bring about. How?
You talked about how the NDC at the time in 2017 were taking credit for the macroeconomic indicators, and we're saying that these were economic indicators that had been predicted long before the MPP came. So what it means is that it really wouldn't have mattered who was in power from 2017. You would have recorded the same economic indicators. And at the time, you laid claim and said you had instituted or initiated certain policy actions that had brought the economy to where it was. You remember, that's what I'm saying. If you flip the coin, you also took total credit. You didn't want to give any credit to the NDC at all.
Well, but we're talking about...
You've just swapped roles.
No, we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about an end of a fiscal year accounting,
Yes.
right? You don't get GDP 5 months into office.
No, you're not getting my point.
But I've got your point. But I'm saying that they are claiming credit for things that they have not fully given account of. Maybe if the fiscal year has ended and they are giving an account, then one can see that maybe you did that, you did this, right?
Yeah, but Rishi, remember that when this debate started, it started sometime in, must have been around, this must have been the same time, May, June, because the indicators were looking really good. In 2017, we're beginning to look very good.
Moro, just hold on.
And those of us who have been hosting programs will tell you that we've had the same.
I don't have a problem. I didn't mention any indicator to you, but GDP growth was what I told you. Yes. How is that debated media? You can't debate GDP media, right? So at the end of the fiscal, there's a real out-turn data that we're discussing. So I'm not telling you anything in between.
Specific reference
but
to
I'm just,
GDP.
I mentioned GDP. Okay. So if you're taking me back, I'm not sure where you're taking me.
That's fine.
All right?
That's
so
fine.
The point I'm making is that if today they say that, oh, Galamsey, you can't blame us because we just came, then what is this thing about cedi appreciation? We did it. What kind of logic is that? It's not sitting well. I mean, they should just understand that this is a function of the foundation they have inherited. Okay. The global environment has lent itself to it. The initiative to procure gold, to strengthen our reserve, has given them a foundation, and this is happening. By all means, they're in government, and so therefore some attribution would go to them. But to claim that they have done A, B, C, D, for me, is not right. Mm-hmm. And I think that Gideon Boako puts it more appropriately to say that Mahama rules, but Baumia's idea reigns. The only credit they have to take is because they are sitting at the pot. It doesn't mean that they cook the food. It doesn't mean they started cooking the food or they are just there to dish it. That's really what it is. And if they're taking that credit, they should be modest about it. But to lie to us and say, oh, we have done this, and they got Professor Bokwe and all these people round around saying that, oh, they have fiscal consolidation here and tweaking. They haven't started doing anything yet. You understand? They haven't started doing anything. Once they begin to pay the contractors, you know, there's certain, I think, out till about July sometime this year, due to the external DDEP, some of our external debts are not being paid. Once this thing hits, when the rubber hits the road, they'll be able to find out their smoothest level. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that whilst we want them to be successful in claiming some of these things, I want to see a growth-led policy that, if not yielding results now, would yield result, because what Ghana needs now is not celebration of strengthening cedi. Okay. We need sustainably to get employment for our people. Okay. All right. Let me ask you. So my question even is, if they say so, that they are strengthening the cedi, the point is that what is the end game? Are you strengthening it so Ghana becomes import dependent, or you are strengthening it so that the so-called 24-hour economy that you're bringing would find space so that our exports will be cheaper, so we can do more of it, we can create more jobs for our people and increase our inflows? That's when you are affecting, you know, the economy with policy. But these things where IMF has prescribed, or we have an arrangement in place where you have to be fiscally disciplined, and that is a given, that you can't do anything about it. It's not as if they can do anything about it. Right. It's locked in. That's fine. Okay, so I don't see what they are doing let me ask you to impact the economy.
What principle do you stand for? Now, are you for the principle that says that when you take over the reins of government, when there are positive things, you take credits, and there are negative things, you also take credit for it? Or when you take over the reins of government and there's some good news, you take, you share. When there's bad news, you take, you share, which is, what role did I play and what role did my predecessor play? Where's the principle here? I don't want to get you get my question.
I hear you.
Yes. Where's the principle?
There is really nothing to jostle over in that space,
Okay.
what the space you just described. The point is simply that what are we rendering to Ghanaians? You understand? There's a young man out there today who perhaps voted for the NDC, okay, on the back of the promise that they're going to create jobs. Okay, that person wants jobs. Your city strengthening doesn't mean anything to that person in terms of jobs. If you don't have money and the city is even one city to $1, you don't have a job. How do you get that? How do you get one city to get $1? So the real matter is not the strength of the city. And I'm saying that is even to speaking to the policy position of the NDC and generally the policy position Ghana should be adopting. Somehow it just feels good that the city is weakening and strengthening, and so we just like that. Yep. But in terms of, I'm talking about it as a people, what policy, and given the problems we have, well, if we're making a policy to strengthen our city or to have our city to be weak, is a policy decision we have to make because our drive forward will depend on more export, more production, to be able to get the opportunities for our people.
With all due respect, you haven't answered my question.
But because I just told you that...
What's the principle?
I'm saying that there's nothing to jostle about. You are talking, you can make up any question and ask. Doesn't mean it's a question that must be answered necessarily.
Oh, so
because I'm saying that...
We're supposed to have a conversation.
No, we're having a conversation. I'm saying that is a race to the bottom. If we're talking about principle, about sharing credit for CD appreciation, I'm saying that's not what Ghanaians are.
No, I'm not talking about CD appreciation.
But that's what we're talking about.
So you're a politician. Where do you stand on this matter? Do you think that when...
I don't think that is substantial. But I'll answer that later.
I'll
answer that later too.
The point I want to ask you, but I need you
Moro,
to first of all
there are
tell
people
me,
watching us.
What do you accept?
Who wants jobs?
I know that.
Whose preoccupation is jobs?
Well, that's why we're here.
Yes. So let's let the government understand that it should busy itself about creating those jobs. This whole thing about running around and say CD is this, CD is that, that's not creating any jobs. What job? I hear your question, but I'm just saying. I hear your question, but I'm just saying that what is the value of that to one who doesn't have a job and is looking for a job? No, when your government has promised that when I come, I'll create a job.
Okay.
Where are the jobs?
All right.
The record of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to date is that he's been retrenching people.
Okay.
Look, I will tell you this for nothing, right? For free. There's a number of people who are in government agencies, in our ministries, who are afraid on a daily basis. They walk to the office and there are memories all around saying, oh, they will let this one go, we'll let this one go, we'll let this one go. Okay. There's such victimization across the space. And we're saying that this is a government that rode into office and they're going to create jobs. People are not safe in their jobs. People are being hounded in their jobs. So then they are sitting around telling us CD is what, practically when they haven't done anything. I mean, I want anybody to tell me what they have done. They haven't done anything. They're just speaking English to us. They're just speaking English.
Are you saying that the appreciation...
What I'm saying is that...
Are you saying the appreciation of the CD...
Yeah.
...is not something that is good for Ghana? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm saying that...
Because you seem to suggest that we're talking a lot about an issue which may not necessarily matter to the ordinary person who's looking for a job. And I'm saying, are you saying it is... Are you downplaying the importance of
I'm just telling you
the CD?
That look at proportionality.
Okay.
Okay? Look at the problem that is facing you. I just gave you the rationalization. If your currency is strong, Moro, you must be aiming to be import dependent because then your import become cheaper.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Today, if you take 1,000, given the strengthening, you can get, we have $1,000. You can take 12,000 cedis or so to get $1.
Yes.
But if it's about 17, right, you need more to be able to get that.
Yes.
So therefore, if you want to buy something now, because the CD is relatively strong, you take less CD and you can get what you want in thousands.
Right.
Right? But if you want to export and your CD is that strong, your export becomes expensive. That's basic economic thinking.
Absolutely,
so that countries who want to drive, which is what China did, and I told you has been the issue between China and US to the trade imbalance that they have, is because China's currency is perpetually low. And the Americans believe that they actually manipulate it to keep it low so that their export continue to be cheaper. So I'm asking to us here, what is our problem? Our problem is jobs, right? And you say you want to produce 24 hours. You are producing for export. And so when in view of that, your currency is strengthening, that policy view is dimming. So what is the structure? That's what I'm saying. That what is the grand picture? What is the end game for even this, the strengthening of the cedi?
Right.
Is it so that we can achieve a certain policy objective, which is to be import dependent?
You know, the reason why...
Because if our cedi is strong,
Yes.
and we can use our strong cedi to import cheaply from China,
Right.
you don't really have your policy drive should not be towards production. So the point is, I'm not downplaying it, but I'm just saying that in the scheme of things,
yes,
what is our strategy?
That's fine.
Our strategy to produce, because if that's what it is going to become almost impossible. It's going to become more expensive. People won't be interested in buying our stuff.
I'll credit you for something. It's an interesting debate you have provoked.